Hi everybody, this is John back with another model inbox review. The tank in question is probably not going to need to be introduced because everyone knows what the M4 Sherman looked like. But the variant of the kit that I'll be doing an inbox review on today is the Sherman Firefly, often called the Sherman 5C. The interesting thing about it is that the Firefly as a Sherman tank was only ever built in Britain, but often the original tanks were built in America. But the 17-pounder gun that made the Sherman into a Firefly Sherman was retrofitted, I believe, by Vickers in Britain prior to going into action. And the Sherman Firefly was the only variant of the Sherman tank that could reliably penetrate the frontal armour of a Tiger or a Panther tank. The rest of the Sherman range, maybe with the exception of the Sherman Jumbo with a 105mm howitzer, had no hope in hell of penetrating the frontal armour of a Tiger or a Panther tank in the Western campaign. Anyway, the model we're doing an inbox review on today is the Revell Sherman Firefly. This is, of course, the reboxing of the original Matchbox kit, and this is the first numerical PK number of the Matchbox armour models that they released. The kit originally was released in 1974 by Matchbox in their purple range. I can't remember what the PK number on this kit was. It might be on one of the boxes. It might be on the second image. I'm not quite sure. But I've got a feeling it was PK 71. But don't quote me yet. I'll get that for you. Anyway, 1974 release. You can tell a 1974 release because it has the 3-colour, 2-colour kit. I know it's difficult and confusing, but the 2-colour kit logo was in 3 colours, where you had it in white writing with a black border and a purple disc to denote the colour range of the model, which is the purple range. And the model was moulded in, obviously, in 76 scale, and that was first released in 1974. Their armour kits weren't released until 2 years after they initially released their purple range in 1972. The model was again re-released in 1986. And it's quite difficult to tell the difference between an 86 and a 74 release. But the 80s releases had this little logo on the bottom right hand corner here. It's like a two-colour green planet with arrows going around it. And that's how you tell the second generation release model of the Sherman Firefly from Matchbox. Eventually, of course, it was released in 1998 under the Revell label. This was the M4 Sherman Firefly with Australian infantry. Yes, it was an Australian armoured core infantry supported Sherman tank, but it is the original Matchbox model inside the box. And then the kit that I'm actually doing a review on is this one, the 176 scale Sherman Firefly from Revell, which was released in 2004. Now this is exactly the same kit. It comes with a diorama base. It's 176 scale, so you know it's definitely not an original Revell kit, because Revell only released original Revell molds in 172nd scale, but Matchbox only ever released their armour kits in 176th to coincide with their HO00 scale, which was being produced by so many different companies in the 70s. To coincide with HO00 scale railways and other armour models, obviously, from the period. So that's 2004. I'll leave you with a nice image of the Sherman Firefly. This is a 5C that's actually in the Bovington Tank Museum, and this is a working Sherman Firefly. And it's often out on the track running around with the other guys, and I think, actually, is this a Sherman Firefly or is it the Fury that's a Sherman Firefly? I can't remember now. But this is the one that's in the Bovington Tank Museum, and you can see it whenever you go into the Bovington Tank Museum, but I've got a feeling this one does actually run. Anyway, we'll just pan the camera down and show you this really quite interesting little kit. go. The box itself, sorry it's a little bit crushed at one end, but the box itself, you've got a few adverts there for some of the armour kits on the back. A couple of these I've got. I've actually built that kit before. I've got the Panzerhaubitze 2000 in my stack, and I'm trying to get hold of this one, but I haven't managed to get hold of it yet. Because you get two vehicle set. It's a two vehicle set. You've got the Humvee and one of the trucks the US Army use. And I wouldn't mind this thing. This is maybe the tank transporter version of it. The German Army's massive MEN truck, which is quite interesting. But this is the kit we're looking at today, the Sherman Firefly from Revell. So let's open the box. Let's have a look, see what we've got inside. There we go. I knew I had some instructions in here somewhere. What I want to do, I'll do this off screen so you don't have to see all messing around. But I've got them in here. I just want to make sure I've got them. Yeah, I've got them. That's all right. We'll have a look at that in a minute. Right, the instructions. The instructions, again, it's typical Revell instructions from the black and white era before they started doing stuff in colour. You've got an image there of the model made up. It's actually on its display stand, but you can't see its display stand very well. But you'll have a look at the display stand in a minute, because it's actually half a blown up bridge. And the Sherman Firefly is just sort of lumbering up this section of the bridge to peer over the top to see what's going on. There's some information here in German, stats and a bit of history on the tank, and then it's again repeated in British, English language, which is nice. You turn the page, you've got some safety instructions, what they say, information you should read before starting, and it's loads of different languages here, lots and lots and lots of different languages. And then you've got some hints and tips boxes here at the bottom, which are like they're definitely a relic of the Matchbox days, when Matchbox used to do this type of thing as well in some of their instructions. And Revell did do a few of these, but also the companies that actually were very big for this type of thing, this type of icon, were Frog and Matchbox. Matchbox used to do it, but obviously in their plans in a slightly different way. You've got some build icons there, which tell you what to do, when to do, and how to do it throughout the construction. And you've also got some paint call-outs there. Only 3 colours, not a lot to write home about, which is quite interesting. And then you've got one of my favourite things on an instruction leaf that you can ever get. I think this is fantastic. You've got a parts plan. And yeah, that's quite comprehensive. You've got everything there laid out exactly as it is on the sprue for ease of ID, and in case you can't, like me, you can't see the damn numbers on the sprue. And you've even got a plan there showing you the tracks. The tracks on this kit are quite interesting, and I'm not sure what they're going to look like, because they're those god-awful silver rubberized, vulcanized rubber tracks, which in the Airfix kits were an absolute nightmare. Anyway, the Sherman Firefly builds up in 14 different steps, but only 12 of them have to do with the construction. In section 1, you're basically putting the chassis together and the rear back panel there, and the lower glacis, which comes in as forms part 1 with the underfloor. And then in section 2, you're building the 2 drive sprockets, and section 3, you're putting those god-awful tracks together. I am concerned about those tracks, but we'll see how they go. Matchbox kits on a whole, they were pretty good, which is why Revell released them, because they know that they were pretty good. Section 4 and 5 are the wheel and bogie assemblies, which go onto the chassis in section 6 with the rear idler sprocket there, and then you put the other side on in section 7. So you've got quite a lot going on in the first 7 steps to produce the chassis of the tank. And then in section 8 and 9 you've got the turret construction with that lovely 17-pounder gun. Goes through into the mantlet there. You don't cement the mantlet in place, so I'm guessing the turret's obviously going to rotate, but I also think that the actual gun will probably elevate as well. I think you turn that through 90 degrees and then you put it into the mantlet and then glue the mantlet into the tank itself, and the gun should elevate inside the mantlet. You've got a little pannier on the back here and 2 spare track parts and a searchlight. Well, it's not a searchlight, it's just a headlamp at the front there on the top of the body shell. And then in section 11, you marry the whole lot together to form the Sherman itself. Then in section 12, you've got that lovely little diorama that you got with all Matchbox models. This is half a bridge, which is quite nice. And then in section 13, you've got the Deckle Application, which is applied before the kit is actually you've got the Deckle Application on this particular model and the Deckle Application on this particular model. I didn't quite understand what was going on there, but basically the kit comes in 2 versions. You've got this one here, which is all green all over, and this one here, which has a camo pattern attached to it. And I might be tempted to do this because this looks quite nice. It looks like 2-tone green, doesn't it? It's quite nice. I like that. I like the look of that. That's the instructions. The instructions seem quite easy to follow. Then I want to have a look at the decals. Let's have a look at the decals, because the decals are, as with all Revell kits, modern Revell kits, the decals are really nice, and these are no exception. One of the things I've always said on my inbox reviews is that buying old tool and older mould kits is a bit of a balancing act, because the older the kit, the crisper the sprue, but the rubbisher, if you like, the crappier the decals are going to be. Whereas if you buy modern kits of old tool releases, yeah, you might get a bit of flash, and the parts might look a bit tired, but the decals are going to be absolutely fantastic. But with Matchbox kits, as you're going to see in a minute, I don't know what it is about Matchbox molds, the jigs and everything else, but it's like their parts just haven't got tired. The parts are still as crisp as they were when they were released in 1971, and you'll see in a minute exactly what I mean. These are these god-awful vulcanized silver rubber tracks. Yeah, they're going to be an interesting thing, aren't they? So we'll see how those go. And then we'll have a quick look at this first. This is the bridge. You've got the top of the bridge there. Can you see? You can see actually which PK number this kit is. It's PK 71. I thought it was 71. Can you see on there? PK 71, made in splurged out England. Because they're not made in England anymore. They're obviously made in Germany, by Revell Germany. You got the sides of the bridge, and there, even the bricks are nicely rendered, aren't they? I like the look of this. This looks really good. The Sherman Firefly actually had one of the more interesting diorama bases. I mean, most of the diorama bases that Matchbox produced had something about them, but this was a half blown up bridge, and it looks impressive. You've got the chassis sides there. There's a few injection moulds there, but they'll sand out quite easily, and a lot of that will be hidden by the bogie assemblies. And then you've got the detail on these wheels. Now I'm going to show you this. I don't normally bother too much about details on wheels, but these are really nice. Now I've got an Airfix Sherman. I'm going to talk to you about the Airfix Sherman as well in a minute. I've got an Airfix Sherman tank, which is an ancient mould from the very late 1950s, and although the wheels are quite detailed on that, they're nothing like this. They're really, really nice. Even the drive sprockets there, they're quite nice too, and the bogie assemblies. It's all there, isn't it? It's a nicely rendered kit. I'm very impressed with the parts on this model. And then you get the second sprue. Obviously, you haven't got a 2-colour kit with a Revell model. They're all moulded in 1 colour. It's cheaper to produce a kit in that fashion. The turret fascia there, the whole cast turret on the Sherman Firefly, that's nicely rendered. It looks really good. I'm quite impressed with that. The body shell. I mean, Matchbox kits were never in any way, shape or form over endowed with detail. They were always sort of rudimentary in their detail, but I think the attention to some of this detail is actually quite good. I mean, look at the moulding on the side parts that go onto the diorama there. You've got the second part there. They're really nice. I'm quite impressed. Again, you've got a few bits and bobs here. That's the gun mantlet, the rear panel, a few bits and bobs. But look at the crispness of that mould. This mould originated in 1974, which means it's 46 years old. That's pretty good, isn't it? Quite impressed with that. So that's the Sherman Firefly parts. The other thing I wanted to say about Airfix are actually releasing a Sherman Firefly this year in 2020, and it's going to be released in 1/72nd scale. Now, I started to get excited about this, but apparently they've also released a new tool, Tiger Tank. But when I saw what they were actually releasing, they're simplified molds for younger builders. And yeah, they are probably better than the original kits that were released in the 50s. But the quality on them doesn't look fantastic. They're not the quality of kit that I think I would rather build. And I think I would rather just opt for the older tools. Although I would think they'd probably paint up and build quite nicely, you know, because they're newer tool, they'll be a little bit more accurate than the original 50s molds. But I was a bit disappointed when I found out that they were what are called starter series kits for novice builders and the younger generation. So yeah, that's interesting too. Anyway, that's the parts for the Revell model, which is the Re-Box Matchbox kit, obviously. PK71, I had no idea it was 71. We'll just put all this stuff back into the box, and then I can close this video by giving you the gumph on the kit. Now then, Sherman Firefly. The model we're actually doing an in-box review on is the Revell Sherman Firefly, which was the Re-Boxed Matchbox PK71 model. The release date of the Revell kit was 2004, but it was originally released, the mould is actually released by Matchbox in 1974. And the kit's moulded in 1/76 scale. The Revell serial number is 03211, and the PK number from Matchbox was PK71. Now, there are two versions of the tank provided in the decal sheet. There's a Sherman Firefly of the 2nd Battalion Coldstream Guards based in Normandy during June 1944, and the second is a Sherman Firefly of the 2nd Fife and Forfar Yeomanry operating in the Rhineland in 1945. The dimensions of the kit are approximately 4 inches long by 1.5 inches wide by 1.5 inches high. The kit comprises 51 parts on 2 green plastic sprues and 2 parts on a silver vulcanized rubber sprue, producing 53 parts in total. Now then, the options and costs, there are quite a few, but I've limited them to just Sherman Firefly kits. And you can get a Sherman Firefly in anything from 1/100th scale to 1/6th scale. Yeah, 1/6th scale. In 1/100th scale, there's a company called Battlefront Miniatures who produce a Sherman Firefly 5C. I've got no pricings on this kit, but I have seen a number of other models released in their series, and they retail for anything between £5 and about £7 second hand. In 1/87th scale, there's a company called Artitech who produce a Sherman Firefly. I've got no pricings on that one, I'm sorry. And in 76 scale, you've got the Matchbox Sherman Firefly, which retails for anything between £8 and £15. I have seen it advertised for anything up to £25 to £30, but it doesn't normally sell for more than 15 quid. Revell also reboxed the Matchbox kit, and that's available for between £5 and £26. In 1/72nd scale, there's a company called Albi who were in association with ESI, who produce the Sherman Firefly. Got no pricings on that. And the new tool starter series, Airfix 72nd scale Sherman Firefly. Again, there's no pricings available on that yet either. But I have been told that there's, the grapevine on the internet is that the kit may retail for as much as about £11. Armfast do a 2-vehicle set of a Sherman Firefly. These retail for between £4 and £11 a box. And Dragon do a Sherman Firefly for £15 to £20. Extra Tech do a Sherman Firefly for £20 to £24. And Fine Scale Factory do a Sherman Firefly, which is a resin kit. Got no pricings on that, but I'm guessing it's going to be a bit dear. Plastic Soldier do a 3-vehicle set of Sherman Fireflies for £20 to £22, and do a Sherman Firefly which retails between £10 and £12. There's a company called Unimodel who also build a Sherman Firefly, and that retails between £9 and £17. Rubicon build a Sherman Firefly 156 scale. That retails for between £20 and £21. And in 148 you've got a really tasty kit from Tamiya of the Sherman Firefly, and that's available for anything from £10 to £25. There are a few options in 35th scale. Dragon do a Firefly for £25 to £46. Platts do a Sherman Firefly, which I believe is to do with the Girls in Panzer series. Again, I've got no pricings on that, but I have seen one advertised once, but not sell for 60 quid. Ryefield does a model of a Sherman Firefly. This retails for £25 to £47, and I'm told that this is one of the best Sherman tank models on the market. Tasker also produce a Sherman Firefly for £39 to £40. Now, some of these kits have been reboxed. The Tasker kit was found in a Asuka model box by Sherman Firefly, and that retails for £30 to £60. Cyber Hobby do a Sherman Firefly, which is a reboxed Dragon kit, for £24 to £31. Platts do a Sherman Firefly Girls in Panzer, which is the ex-Tasker kit, which is a rebox of the original Tasker model, and that retails for £40 to £60. I think both the Platts offerings are actually Girls in Panzer, but one was reboxed later from the Tasker model. And Tamiya also do a 35th scale Sherman Firefly, which is actually a reboxed Tasker kit, for £50 to £80. In 125th scale, Helsinki do a Sherman Firefly. Got no pricings on that, but I bet it's over 100 quid. And in 1/6 scale, there's a company called Armour who produce a Sherman Firefly for between £350 and £400. It's usually only available mail order from the USA. And Dragon do a Sherman Firefly in 1/6 scale for £340 to £400. And again, that's usually only available online from the Far East. Now then, conclusions. Like all Matchbox armour kits, the quality is good, and Revell, having reboxed all the Matchbox armour, are now capitalising in on the good quality Matchbox originally offered. Not too sure about the silver tracks though, but time will tell on that. But the decals look really good, and overall it should produce a really good result. Kits to look out for are the Dragon and new Airfix kit when it appears in 72nd scale, and the best kit of all, which is the 35th scale of the Sherman Firefly, is the Ryefield boxing offer. If you can get your hands on one of those, the reviewers have fallen in love with this kit, and they're recommending it far and above any other model in 35th scale. So anyway, that's the inbox review finished. Hope this video has been of some use. If you've got any queries, questions, any comments, just put them in the comments slip. I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible if you need a reply. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope all your modelling projects are going really well. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you for the next. Bye-bye.